Hey everyone. Today we're going to talk about a somewhat touchy subject, which is student loan default. The reason I want to talk to you about this today is because it's a pretty prevalent issue, and I know people who are struggling with it, and it can seem like there aren't any options. But my job is really to help everyone who has student loans figure out the best way for them to pay off that student loan debt and to not be crushed by it. So that includes people who are struggling to make their monthly payments. It's not so easy as refinancing or loan forgiveness for everyone. Some people are really struggling to make that monthly payment. Some of you may already be in default. If you are in default, you're not alone. There are over 4 million borrowers actually who have given up under the weight of over $137 billion of education-related debt. So that's about 1 in 10 federal student loan borrowers. So you're definitely not alone. So today's video is going to share how you can avoid default if you are struggling financially, because obviously your best option is to avoid default. However, for those of you who have already defaulted on your student loan debt, we're going to talk about the ways you can repair that default. And then we're also going to talk about the consequences of doing nothing. So it can be really tough to face this head on. It can feel, you might feel ashamed about not being able to make your payments. You might feel very frustrated with the system for allowing you to borrow so much money. Any of those feelings can lead to a little bit of denial, and so you'd rather avoid the problem than face it head on. But we're going to talk about why it's best to sort of tackle this problem and get it out of the way. And then lastly, I'll share a couple of resources you can use for a little bit more information. So let's get started, and I'll talk about how you can avoid student loan debt. The first thing you need to do if you're struggling financially and you're not able to make your monthly payments is get in contact with your loan servicer right away. So by doing this, you should be prepared to give them a little bit of information about your specific circumstances. And after that, you have a couple of options. So you can shift into an income-based repayment plan or update your income information if that has changed and you're already in a repayment plan like that. That way your monthly payment should be the appropriate amount for the amount of income you're bringing in, which means if you don't have an income, it could be as low as $0 a month. And this option's really good. You don't want to default because you would still be eligible on an income-based repayment plan for forgiveness after 20 to 25 years. So that's important to keep yourself out of default so you still have all of those eligibilities. The other options are deferment and forbearance. Those two options mean you won't make any monthly payments on your student loans. So for those, deferment is where you are allowed a period where you don't pay on your loans and you also don't accrue interest. And student loan forbearance is where you don't make a payment on your student loans, but they continue to accrue interest. And sorry, that's both the subsidized and unsubsidized loans. An unsubsidized loan will continue to accrue interest even if you're in deferment, but your subsidized won't. So the main thing here is to keep you in good standing with your loan so that you can hang on to all of the borrower benefits that you have, but to find a way to get you through a financially difficult time. The next thing I want to talk about are your options for rehabilitating your loan if you've defaulted. So if you have not made a payment for over 270 days, your student loan is in default, which means that the full balance of the loan is due immediately. So the options to your loan then gets sent to collections. And so the options to kind of get out of default are, number one, to pay off the full balance of your loan. That's not a very realistic option because if it were, you would have done it and not defaulted. The option after that is to rehabilitate your loan. So you can contact the loan servicer or the company that your loan was sent to, the collections company, and tell them you want to repair your loan. You need to explain your situation. And you should know that you will need to make 9 consecutive monthly payments. After they set up what that monthly payment will be with you, they'll work with you and your income to get that established. And you'll need to make 9 in a row. And then your loan will be considered in good standing and the default will be removed from your loan history. So that's a really good option because you will then be eligible for deferment, forbearance, and loan forgiveness programs. The third option, if you are already in default, is to consolidate your loan. So you can either make 3 monthly payments in your current payment plan and then consolidate your loan, or you can consolidate your loan and then agree to make a repayment, agree to enroll in an income-based repayment plan of that consolidated loan. So you have those options for rehabilitating your loans. The one thing to know about the loan rehabilitation option, where you would make 9 monthly payments consecutively, is that you can only do that once for your loan. So when you commit to this, it's important to be sure that you are going to follow through and that you pay off your loan under this plan. If for any reason at any time you run into financial problems or you think that the monthly payment established is just not going to work for you based on your expenses, you can contact your loan servicer and let them know that you need to submit additional income information so they can look at your monthly payment and adjust that to something that you can afford. So those are sort of how to avoid default and how to stay out of default, or how to repair default if you're in it, how to get back out. So why do you care? I mean, the government screwed you and you had to borrow a ton of money and you can't pay it back because you weren't able to get a job that paid you well enough to pay it back, and you're irritated with them. Why do they need to get their money back? Well, the problem is the consequences are all on you. So when you go into student loan default, your loan is immediately sent to a collections agency. So you can expect to get phone calls, letters from collections companies looking for their money. You can also expect to take a significant hit to your credit score, which will make borrowing of any type difficult. You will also not be eligible, period, for any further federal student aid borrowing. You will not be eligible for any type of loan forgiveness, deferment, or forbearance, or any of the federal repayment plans if you are in default. And, the other thing is, in addition to sort of those government problems, is the government can actually garnish your wages. So they can work with your employer to get their money. They can withhold any type of income tax return as payment for your student loan debt. And it would be pretty difficult to have your employer be aware of student loan default and actually have to work with the government to have your wages garnished. So the consequences can be really difficult and challenging. So if you are ready for financial freedom, it's time, and you're in default, it's really time to address the problem and try and get out of default in one of the two ways really that we discussed, either rehabilitating the loan or consolidating the loan. And again, it's not something that you should feel ashamed about because there are many, many borrowers in your situation. 1 in 10 is really a lot. But there are options to help you get out, and I really want you to have that financial freedom and not have any sense of somebody hounding you for collections. So with that, I have a couple of resources. The FSA website, so the Federal Student Aid website, it's studentaid.gov, is a great resource for default. It talks about ways to avoid it. It talks about how to get out of default if you're in it. And it is really a helpful website. So if you are looking for more information, I recommend that you go to studentaid.gov right away to read up more on the subject. And then you can always go to repayable.org. That's my blog and website. And there you will find an article about how to avoid default. And then lastly, you can always email me, which is jenny@repayable.org, if you have any specific questions, or you can head over to the Repayable Facebook page and ask me, or ask me here in the comments. I really am here to help you. I think that it's terrible that so many people are suffering at the hands of the cost of education. So I really want to help make sure that people can get out of their debt. And lastly, if you found this video helpful at all, I would appreciate it if you would subscribe to the channel below. And I really hope to see you again. Thank you.